Last thing to say is Tony Hicks. Tony Hicks. I mean, I'm really glad he stumbled towards that microphone and made some noises that eventually became part of the Hollies sound. But let's say he hadn't bothered. These guys can do harmony pretty well without him. But that guitar playing. You know, we talked in the film talks a lot about stop, stop, stop. You know, the belly dancer, they want to get that Turkish sound. He can't play balalaika, so let's try banjo. He told me he'd never played banjo before. Tunes like guitar, so what? What's really cool to me is, for a guy who doesn't know a damn thing about Turkish music, has never studied Turkish music, I don't know if you've even heard more than a couple of things in some BBC foreign program, he's got that modal thing down. He's got the rhythmic phrasing of a Turkish string player. It blows my mind. We asked Tony Hicks what his influences were. We asked Graham and Allan where Tony's guitar style came from. Nobody can tell me a damn thing about influences. Maybe a little Scotty Moore, and he can play rockabilly quite well. But he really is a very idiosyncratic individual player. You know, I'm watching today, and I've seen this film a few times. You know, I've been pretty intimately involved with it. On a carousel, where does that guitar line come from? It's actually got a little bit of that stop, stop, stop phrasing in it, but it always sounds different. Tony, different styles, different sound of that guitar, and really unusual note choices. A huge part of this group sound, but it's only a pop group, right? So people don't recognize that stuff. It's not a 5-minute Eric Clapton solo in Crossroads at the Fillmore. But you put that instrumental prowess together with those vocal harmonies and that songwriting, and you've got, and Graham's already used the word tonight, so I'm going to use it, one fuck of a pop band who should have been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at least 2 decades before they were. That's what's unique and special about the Hollies. I'm done. I'm out.
Class dismissed.
I think we all want to sign up for your class in Toronto at York University. Is it standing room only?
Have you ever tried decaf?
Yeah. So, last night, David, Peck, and I were trying to clear up a mystery that I think maybe Graham can clear up. And now we're watching the footage of at Abbey Road, and that's like a religious experience just right there. But you're singing on a carousel, and you don't have headphones on, and you're
Allan
okay.
and I
Tell us about that.
Allan and I were talking about that earlier. What we used to do is they had these huge speakers at EMI called 604Es. They were gigantic. They were maybe
Clapping for speakers?
maybe 6 feet high, 3 feet square, and they were on rollers, and you could come. And what happened is when you point speakers at each other, they cancel out in the middle.
You didn't know that, did you?
So we were listening to the track from these giant speakers that because the microphone that I was singing into was right in the middle, it canceled out the music and left my voice. And then when Allan comes in, it's the same with him. Because you're right, we didn't have headphones on, and you were trying to figure out how the fuck we did it. Yeah. And that's how we did it, out of phase speakers.
How did he know I wrote, how the fuck did you do that on the piece of paper? You must be cheating.
It's you know, it's like Bobby said, we really tried to push the envelope. We knew what we were doing, but we would always try different things, and that was one of them. I remember that day specifically when the BBC came in and made that movie. It was very interesting to see it complete. I'd only seen, you know, 30 seconds here and 30 seconds there, but to see the entire little 8-minute piece was fascinating to me. How would you all feel like watching yourself grow up? It's not easy.
Some of it was frightening, I thought.
Yeah,
you know? Where did that hair come from?
And more importantly, where did it go?
David, since we were talking about that footage from Abbey Road, which is maybe one of the centerpieces of the film, and I know how much you enjoyed discovering it, but I think you can tell a story about that.
You know, what happened was, as I mentioned earlier, besides directing films, my company, Reelin in the Years Productions, we represent about 35 television stations around the world. And we represent ITN and Granada. And 2 years ago, I said, you know, what do you have on the Hollies? And there had been a clip floating around for years where you did on a carousel, and the cameraman fucking asshole. Because every time you did the round and round, cameraman, round and round and round, up, down, it was like, Jesus Christ, this is Abbey Road. It's sacred ground. So I said, well, let me see it. So they sent it in, and that was, 3 minutes. But the tape is 25 minutes. I'm going, what is this? I put the beta tape in, and I start to see you guys just kind of standing around. I'm like, well, this isn't what I thought it was. And I start to watch, and I was by myself. And when I got to the point where you started to sing a cappella, Graham, and you guys came in, I am not kidding, I had tears in my eyes for a number of reasons. Number one of my favorite groups of all time, doing one of my favorite songs, a cappella, and obviously the Hollies are about the harmonies and those vocals. But then to realize there they are, in Abbey Road doing that, and there's so little footage of any band in the 60s. I don't care the crappiest band or the best band in a recording studio because you're working. You're not putting on a show. You don't want to be bothered, as Bobby said. To have that in Abbey Road was just like, I lost my mind. And my associate and co-producer, Phil Galloway, came in 20 minutes and go, Phil, get in here now. Dude, I just walked in the office. What? I go, I don't care what the hell you're doing. Get in here now. Sit down. And he sits down, and he just, like me, had the same reaction because you see something like that you had no idea existed and is just rotting on a shelf. And it's such important history that I knew the second that you guys said, yes, David, you can make this film, and I called Rob, I knew that I wanted to build a huge piece around Abbey Road. And I was able to do that through all that great footage and allow you to really speak about the recording process, because I'm sure a lot of people in this room who aren't musicians like myself don't know that. They take for granted that, you have a million tracks, like you said. You had 2, it's it. Yeah. And then you had 4 and so on. And it's fascinating. And for me, the hell with 1,000 tracks. Let's go back to maybe 16, whatever. Just something more simplistic a little bit, because it's kind of like if you're given too much, you just use it all. Instead of being, smart with what you have.
The Hollies made their first long-playing record in about an hour and a half.
Yeah?
We would do our 45-minute set, and then we did it again, and then chose the best from that. That was it.
Well, speaking of footage, where did the King Midas footage come from? Well, that's amazing.
Well, their tour manager, I believe until the late 90s, was a gentleman named Rod Shields, and he took his home movie camera, and all that great home movie footage you see in the film, which is to me breathtaking, was shot by Rod Shields. So what happened was, because obviously King Midas in Reverse was such an important song in the Hollies' history, and because it wasn't a hit, and because it sort of the beginning for you of moving on, we're just like, look, this isn't working.
The acid was just kicking in.
Fair enough. There is no known performance of the group doing that. And with any of the DVDs I do, it's got to be the right lineup doing it. So if there was a version in the mid-'70s, I wouldn't do it because Graham wasn't there. So I looked at Rod's footage and I went, I could probably cut a music video to this. And Steve back there and Tom and I sat in the studio, and I kind of thought the footage from Japan, it just felt right. If you walking in there, it felt like it belonged in the song. And when I told James that yesterday, he's like, you're lying. No, that was made. I said, no, James, we did it. And we did it in homage to your first album in about an hour. Wow. So that is not a music video that was done back then. That was done by us. Amazing. To bring that song into the film so that people could experience that song.
There's one piece of footage you didn't find, though.
Yes.
From Japan.
Careful.
No, not the donkey.
Oh.
No, we did a television show, and we did a Japanese folk song, I think, called Sakura, which is...
Do you want to sing it?
And you could, couldn't you? Yeah, I could too. And they dressed us... Wait, no, hold on. For the television show, they dressed all the Hollies in traditional Japanese... samurai outfits.
I felt great.
Did you ever see that?
Great.
No, but my wife is Japanese, and I'm going to have to ask her about that.
You know what? We need to recut the film. Scrap all those finished product. We need this clip.
Funny.
Yeah, go ahead and feel free to sing that one.
First of all, one of the things that this movie has done is certainly raise the profile of the Hollies, deservedly so. And as Allan said, the story needs to be told, and it was beautifully. But the other thing is it really raised the profile of Ron Richards. And we know a lot more about him than we did before. But there's one question I have. I heard that Ron would stop you recording at 10 o'clock p.m.
Absolutely right.
I always thought that musicians worked at 2, 3 o'clock.
No,
What
no,
happened?
they wanted to shut down at 10 o'clock. And for the first 4.5, 5 years of our recording, we thought that was normal.
No. We weren't that stupid that long.
We may have been.
Really?
Because what had happened is that we thought that the echo machines went off at 10. Right? Now, any engineers out there, it's not even a machine, it's a damn room with a microphone in it, right? The real truth was that the pub closed at 10:30. And Ron Richards and Peter Bowen wanted to go to the Abbey Tavern right round the corner and get pissed. Drunk, rather, not upset. I'll translate for you, Allan. It's an American thing.
Hey, listen, I remember when the first time I went to New York, I went into a bar and asked for a packet of fags. I never did it again. But anyway.
So all this time we thought that machines went off at 10 o'clock and not realizing it was the pubs that closed at 10:30.
I went for that. I thought that was a really good idea.
It was
we
a
got
good
there
idea.
at 10 o'clock. Yeah, I really did.
We did our fair share of drinking, didn't we?
We certainly did.
So, when you first came to America, Graham, in '65, you guys, the Hollies played at the Paramount Theater.
Yes.
Okay, and you
For
played
Soupy Sales.
Soupy Sales and Little Richard.
To the mouse.
What
to the
a
max.
bill that is. Soupy Sales and Little Richard.
Yeah, there was a lot of people on that show. It was very interesting.
Can you guys describe that?
Well, we got to America, and first of all, the phones rang exactly like they did in the movies, which blew our minds. And then we took a cab from JFK. You remember that cab with like 4 doors on each side? A checker cab thing?
It was really weird. It was really weird going into New York. It was, oh.
We thought we'd have to do our set, our 45-minute dynamite set, right? 2 songs. I said, we came all this fucking way for 2 songs? Are you kidding me? Yeah, but it's 5 times a day.
That was really hard, 5 times a day.
Right.
Yeah. They showed a film before the show started, and I saw that film every day. Because you had to be there. But the 2 songs that we did went so quickly, that we thought, well, what do we do for the rest of the time?
Right.
Well, we'll go and see what Little Richard is like. And he blew our minds, and he blew everybody's minds, and he says, I'm the king of rock and roll, and shouting up and down the stage, and I think he was fired from the show for that. No, you've got a different story, haven't you?
He got a little upset because he had this guitar player in the band, and I heard him screaming, don't ever upstage me, I'm king of rock and roll, I'm Little Richard, and you don't ever play your guitar with your teeth again, Jimi Hendrix. Great band he had. Not kidding. Jimmy was his guitar player. It's the first experience, 1965 at the Paramount. This has been, I got to tell you, seeing all these memories on the screen here, we've had an incredible life, and it doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon either. My God. I never thought that we would be doing this at 70. Seriously.
I didn't think you were going to give our age away. I thought that you didn't,
There's people
Of course, you are older than me. Always have been.
4 months.